Chapter 1. Ava Carter prided herself on being unshakable. She had handled impossible deadlines, survived ruthless bosses, and mastered the art of presenting ideas like she hadn't just pulled an all-nighter fueled by 3 cups of overpriced coffee, but nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared her for this. Standing in the sleek, glass-walled conference room of Kingston and Company, she stared at the man sitting at the head of the table. Dark hair, sharp jawline, an expensive suit that looked like it had been tailored specifically to intimidate Lucas Kingston. The same Lucas Kingston who had once stolen her lunch in 2nd grade, who used to race her to the top of the monkey bars, who had dared her to confess to her 5th grade crush and laughed when she got rejected, her childhood nemesis, her new boss. Lucas barely glanced up from the document he was reviewing. "Carter," he said, like her presence was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. Ava blinked. "Excuse me," she hadn't seen him in years, not since college, when he went off to business school and she started working her way up in marketing. And now, instead of the smug troublemaker she remembered, there was this an ice-cold, perfectly polished CEO who looked at her like she was just another name on a file. For a second, she debated reminding him of all the ways he had tortured her as a kid. The time he'd swapped her flashcards before a spelling test. The legendary prank war of 7th grade. The fact that he still owed her $5. Instead, she forced a polite smile. "Mr. Kingston. A pleasure." His lips quirked, just barely. "Let's hope you're as good as your resume claims." Oh, it was on. Chapter 2. Ava sank into her office chair, gripping her coffee cup like it was a lifeline. Lucas Kingston. CEO. Her boss. How had this happened? She had worked hard, clawed her way up the corporate ladder, and now she was the new head of marketing at Kingston and Company. It was a dream job. It was supposed to be a dream job, not a personal revenge arc waiting to happen. She tapped her nails against the desk, thinking back to the boardroom meeting. Lucas had barely acknowledged her. Carter, he had called her. Like they were still in middle school, racing to see who could solve the math problem first. Well, fine. If he wanted to act like they were strangers, she could play that game too. She glanced around her office, her very nice office with floor-to-ceiling windows and a sleek mahogany desk. The company had spared no expense in setting her up, and she would be damned if she let childhood history ruin this for her. Then her door swung open. She looked up, and there he was, Lucas Kingston, in all his ridiculously infuriating, perfectly tailored glory. He leaned against the doorframe, hands in his pockets, looking like he had all the time in the world. "So," he said casually. "Surprised to see me?" Ava took a slow sip of her coffee, keeping her expression blank. "Not at all. I always dreamed of working under someone who once thought eating crayons was a good idea." His mouth twitched, but he didn't take the bait. "And I always dreamed of hiring someone who once got stuck in a tree and had to be rescued by a firefighter." Her jaw clenched. That was one time. And yet, unforgettable. Ava exhaled sharply, setting down her cup with deliberate calm. "Is there something you need, Mr. Kingston? Or did you just come by to reminisce?" Lucas pushed off the doorframe and walked inside, stopping in front of her desk. "Actually, I wanted to make sure you're ready." She frowned. "Ready for what?" He slid a folder onto her desk. "The Donovan pitch. Friday. We need to land this client, and you're leading the presentation." Ava flipped the folder open, scanning the details. Donovan Enterprises was a massive client. Securing them would be huge for Kingston and Company. And she was leading the pitch. She looked up, cautious. "Why me?" Lucas shrugged. "You're the best for the job. Unless you're not up for it." "Oh," he did not just say that. Ava straightened. "I'll have a strategy ready by tomorrow." He nodded approvingly. "Good. Don't disappoint me, Carter." Then, just as casually as he'd walked in, he turned and strolled out of her office. Ava let out a slow breath. This wasn't just a job anymore. This was war. Chapter 3. Ava spent the next few hours dissecting the Donovan file like it was an enemy battle plan. Every detail, every marketing angle, every possible weakness. She wasn't going to give Lucas Kingston any reason to doubt her, and, fine, maybe there was a tiny part of her that wanted to wipe that smug look off his face. She was deep in research when her office door swung open again. "Wow. You look like you're plotting world domination," came a familiar voice. Ava glanced up to see Natalie, her best friend and company HR manager, standing in the doorway, arms crossed. Not world domination, Ava corrected, just corporate victory. Natalie arched a brow. Let me guess, Lucas? Ava sighed, rubbing her temples. He put me in charge of the Donovan pitch. Natalie whistled. That's huge. And also, suspicious. Since when does the almighty Lucas Kingston delegate anything important? That was exactly what had been nagging at Ava. Sure, she was qualified, but Lucas wasn't the kind of CEO to just hand off major projects without a reason. I don't know, Ava admitted. But I'm not going to waste time questioning it. If he wants me to prove myself, I will. Natalie grinned. That's the spirit. Crush him. Professionally. Ava smirked. Oh, I fully intend to. But just as Natalie turned to leave, she paused. Oh, and one more thing. There's a company event Friday night. Mandatory attendance. Which means you and Lucas will have to be in the same room, pretending to be civilized. Ava groaned. You have got to be kidding me. Wish I was. Natalie winked. Good luck with your battle plans. As her friend walked out, Ava stared at the Donovan file again. Lucas Kingston wanted her to prove herself. Fine, but she wasn't just going to impress him, she was going to win. And as for the company event, she'd survive that, too. Probably chapter 4 by Friday. Ava had turned the Donovan pitch into a masterpiece. She had spent hours refining every slide, anticipating every possible question, and perfecting her delivery. It was, without a doubt, the best presentation she'd ever put together yet. Despite her confidence in her work, there was one thing she wasn't ready for: the company event. She adjusted the hem of her black dress for the 100th time, cursing the universe for putting her in this situation. She wasn't against social events, but attending one where Lucas Kingston would be watching her every move. That was a whole different battlefield. As she stepped into the venue, a swanky rooftop bar reserved exclusively for the company, she scanned the room for Natalie. Instead, she locked eyes with the one person she'd been hoping to avoid, if only for a little while. Lucas stood near the bar, dressed in an immaculately tailored black suit, effortlessly commanding attention. He wasn't even trying, and yet he still had that presence, the kind that made people pause when he spoke, listen when he gave orders, and somehow made Ava want to roll her eyes and challenge him at the same time. Unfortunately, he'd spotted her, too, with a smirk that was as infuriating as it was attractive. He made his way over, a glass of whiskey in hand. You clean up well, Sinclair, he said, eyes scanning her dress with a look of approval that made Ava's skin heat. She lifted her chin. I always do. His smirk deepened. And modest, too. Confidence isn't modesty's enemy, she shot back. If anything, they work together quite well. Lucas took a slow sip of his drink, watching her over the rim of his glass. Is that what you tell yourself before you annihilate your competition? Ava smiled sweetly. Oh, absolutely. You should try it sometime. Lucas chuckled, shaking his head. You really don't hold back, do you? If I did, I wouldn't be here. His expression shifted, just slightly, but Ava caught it. There was something unreadable in his gaze, something that made her stomach do an unexpected flip. Before she could decipher it, Natalie swooped in, saving her from whatever that moment had been. There you are. Natalie linked her arm with Ava's. I need you to rescue me from a very boring conversation with finance. Ava laughed, casting one last glance at Lucas. See you around, Kingston. Lucas took another sip of his drink, eyes still on her. Count on it. Chapter 5. The event continued in full swing, but Ava had an unsettling feeling that Lucas wasn't done messing with her just yet. And she was right. She had barely settled into a conversation with Natalie when Lucas appeared again, this time with an unreadable expression and a challenge in his voice. I have a proposition for you, Sinclair. Ava narrowed her eyes. That sounds dangerous. He smirked. Only if you're afraid of losing. Natalie, ever the agent of chaos, perked up. Oh, this sounds fun. What's the bet? Lucas turned his attention back to Ava. You think you can impress the Donovan clients on Monday? Ava crossed her arms. I know I can. Then let's make it interesting. He set his drink down. If you win the deal, I'll give you something you want. Ava arched a brow. And if I don't? Lucas leaned in slightly, lowering his voice so only she could hear. Then you owe me. There was something about the way he said it, casual, but with an underlying challenge that sent a thrill down Ava's spine. What exactly would I owe you? Lucas smirked. I'll think of something. Ava should have walked away. She should have laughed it off. But instead, she found herself extending a hand. You've got yourself a bet, Kingston. His fingers wrapped around hers, firm and warm. Good, he murmured. I can't wait to see you try. Chapter 6. By the time Ava arrived at the office Monday morning, she was fully prepared for battle. She had double-checked her presentation, rehearsed every possible scenario, and even thrown in a few witty comebacks just in case Lucas decided to be his usual insufferable self. She wasn't just here to impress the Donovan clients, she was here to win. As she stepped into the conference room, she felt the weight of Lucas's gaze before she even saw him. He was already seated at the head of the table, effortlessly commanding attention in his tailored suit. He smirked as she took her seat. Ready to prove yourself, Sinclair? She matched his smirk. I don't need to prove myself. I just need to win. A glint of amusement flickered in his eyes, but before he could respond, the Donovan clients arrived, and it was showtime. Ava delivered the presentation flawlessly. She anticipated every question, handled every curveball, and by the time she wrapped up, the clients were nodding in approval. As they left the conference room, Mr. Donovan himself shook her hand. That was impressive, Ms. Sinclair. We'll be finalizing the contract by the end of the week. Ava forced herself to remain professional, but internally, she was already celebrating. She had won. The moment the clients left, she turned to Lucas, her arms crossed. So, I believe you owe me something. Lucas exhaled, running a hand through his hair. I hate to admit it, but you did well. She grinned. And? He leaned against the table, looking up at her. What do you want? Ava hadn't actually thought about this part of the deal. She had been so focused on winning that she hadn't considered what to ask for, but then an idea struck her. She tilted her head. How about a week where you don't interfere with my work? No challenges, no bets, no smug comments. Lucas chuckled, shaking his head. You really know how to kill the fun, don't you? Is that a yes? He smirked. Fine. But I have to warn you, Sinclair, without my smug comments, your workdays are going to be a lot less interesting. Ava rolled her eyes, but as she walked away, she couldn't help but feel the weight of his gaze on her. Something told her this wasn't the last game they'd play. Chapter 7. Ava was still riding high on her victory when Natalie dragged her out for celebratory drinks that evening. You crushed it today, Natalie said, raising her glass. I mean, you left no room for doubt. Ava smirked, clinking her glass against Natalie's. I'm kind of a big deal. As they laughed, Ava's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Unknown. Don't get too comfortable, Sinclair. You might have won this round, but the game isn't over. Ava stared at the message, then at Natalie. Oh, she muttered. Natalie peeked over her shoulder and smirked. Kingston. Ava sighed. Who else? She wasn't sure whether to be amused or concerned. One thing was certain, Lucas Kingston wasn't done with her yet, and, if she was being honest, she didn't mind. Chapter 8. The next morning, Ava walked into the office with a determined stride. She had won their bet, secured a major client, and proven herself beyond a doubt. Lucas had no reason to bother her anymore, so why was she still checking her phone for another text from him? She shook the thought away as she settled into her desk. The victory felt good, but she knew better than to let her guard down. Lucas Kingston was the type who thrived on competition. If he had already declared that the game wasn't over, she needed to be prepared. Just as she opened her laptop, a cup of coffee appeared in front of her. She looked up to find Lucas standing there, a smirk playing on his lips. Truce coffee, he offered. Ava eyed him suspiciously. What's in it? He chuckled. Relax. Just black coffee, no sabotage. She hesitated before taking it. Thanks. I think. Lucas leaned against her desk, watching her. So, now that you've won, what's next? I focus on my work, continue to be amazing, and enjoy my week of peace and quiet without you annoying me. His smirk widened. You sure about that last part? Ava narrowed her eyes. Why? Because I have a proposition. She groaned. Oh no. Hear me out. He crossed his arms. There's a networking event this weekend. Lots of major clients, potential deals. I want you to come with me. Ava blinked. Why? You made an impression with the Donovans. People are talking about you. It would be a wasted opportunity if you didn't show up. Ava tapped her fingers on her desk. And what's in it for you? Lucas grinned. I get the pleasure of watching you navigate a high-stakes event without strangling me. She rolled her eyes. Tempting. You should consider it. He pushed off her desk and walked away. I'll be waiting for your answer. Ava exhaled, watching him go. He was right. This was an opportunity. But was she really willing to step back into his game? Chapter 9. Ava arrived at the event in a sleek navy blue dress, her confidence high and her guard even higher. The moment she stepped inside, she spotted Lucas in a charcoal grey suit, casually sipping a drink as he scanned the room. When his eyes landed on her, his smirk deepened. Sinclair, he greeted, holding out a glass of champagne. You clean up well. She took the glass, raising an eyebrow. Flattery won't get you out of whatever scheme you've planned. Lucas chuckled. Relax. I just want you to meet a few key people. And meet them. She did. Lucas introduced her to some of the most influential names in the industry, and to her surprise, he didn't undermine her or challenge her in front of them. He let her take the lead, watching with something almost like pride. As the night progressed, Ava found herself reluctantly enjoying his company. They had fallen into an easy rhythm, sharp banter, strategic teamwork, and the occasional lingering glance she tried to ignore. At some point, they ended up alone on the balcony, overlooking the city lights. Lucas leaned on the railing beside her. I'll admit it, I underestimated you. Ava smirked. Big mistake. He turned to face her. I mean it. You're good, Sinclair. Really good. She met his gaze, and for a moment, the usual teasing disappeared. Then, before she could respond, Lucas's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression shifting. Ava tilted her head. Everything okay? Lucas exhaled. Yeah. Just business. But she didn't miss the flicker of something else, something that told her this wasn't just business, and just like that, the game had changed again. Chapter 10. Ava watched Lucas pocket his phone, his smirk returning like a mask slipping into place. Nothing serious? She asked, leaning against the railing. Nothing I can't handle, he replied smoothly. She knew better than to press, but something about the shift in his demeanor bothered her. Lucas Kingston was always in control, but for a split second, he had looked uncertain. Not her business. Well, since this evening is apparently about you boosting my career, what's next? Ava asked, steering the conversation back to safer ground. Lucas chuckled, sipping his drink. I was going to introduce you to one more person, but I got distracted. By what? He turned, giving her an amused once-over. You. Ava rolled her eyes, but she couldn't fight the heat rising to her cheeks. Try harder, Kingston. Your charm is wasted on me. Lucas smirked. We'll see about that. Before she could fire back, a sharp voice interrupted. Lucas. They both turned to find a tall woman in a sleek black dress approaching them. Her posture was poised, her gaze assessing. Rebecca, Lucas greeted, his tone polite but clipped. Ava raised an eyebrow. This was new. Rebecca's sharp eyes flickered toward her. And you must be Ava Sinclair. Ava smiled politely. Guilty. Rebecca studied her for a moment before returning her attention to Lucas. We should talk. Lucas exhaled, then looked at Ava. Give me a minute. Ava nodded, stepping back as Lucas followed Rebecca inside. The moment they were out of earshot, Ava sighed. She didn't like this. Not because she was jealous, no, absolutely not, but because she had a nagging feeling that whatever was going on with Lucas was bigger than just business, and if she wasn't careful, she might end up right in the middle of it. Chapter 11. Ava wandered back inside, determined to enjoy the rest of the evening. She networked, exchanged business cards, and did her best to ignore the fact that Lucas had been gone for over 15 minutes. Eventually, curiosity got the best of her. She found Lucas near the bar, standing rigid as Rebecca spoke in hushed tones. Ava didn't mean to eavesdrop, but she caught the last few words. Playing a dangerous game, Lucas. Lucas's jaw clenched. I can handle it. Rebecca scoffed. You always think that. Ava quickly turned away as Lucas spotted her. She didn't want him to know she had heard anything, but as she walked back into the crowd, one thought lingered in her mind: what kind of game was Lucas Kingston playing? And more importantly, was she a part of it? Chapter 12. The next morning, Ava arrived at the office determined to focus on work and ignore whatever Lucas was tangled up in. Unfortunately, fate had other plans. As soon as she stepped inside, her phone buzzed with a message from him. Lucas, morning, Sinclair. Coffee in my office. Now Ava groaned but made her way over, finding Lucas leaning against his desk, looking as infuriatingly smug as ever. To what do I owe this honor? She asked, crossing her arms. Lucas handed her a cup of coffee. I wanted to thank you for last night. She raised an eyebrow. By summoning me like an intern? He smirked. I knew you'd appreciate it. Ava took a sip of coffee. You were talking to Rebecca for a while. Something I should know. Lucas's expression remained unreadable. Nothing you need to worry about. She frowned. You keep saying that. But somehow, I feel like I should worry. Lucas held her gaze for a long moment before sighing. You trust me, Sinclair? Ava hesitated. That was the million-dollar question, wasn't it? Finally, she answered. I trust you to be annoying, arrogant, and occasionally brilliant. Lucas chuckled. I'll take it. Ava narrowed her eyes. But if I find out you're dragging me into some mess, I'll make your life a nightmare. Lucas leaned in slightly, his voice low. Looking forward to it. Her pulse kicked up. Damn him, whatever game he was playing, she had just officially stepped onto the board and something told her there was no turning back. Chapter 13. Ava spent the rest of the day trying to focus on work, but her mind kept circling back to her conversation with Lucas. He was hiding something big. And despite her better judgment, she wanted to know what it was. She was halfway through reviewing a report when her office door swung open. Lucas. Ever heard of knocking? She asked, barely glancing up. Lucas strolled in like he owned the place. Ever heard of answering my calls? Ava blinked and checked her phone. 3 missed calls. Whoops. I was busy. Lucas leaned against her desk, watching her. I need you to come with me. Ava put down her pen. Come with you where? It's a surprise. She folded her arms. Yeah, see, surprises from you never end well for me. Lucas smirked. I'll take that as a yes. Before she could protest, he grabbed her coat from the chair and tossed it at her. Let's go, Sinclair. Ava sighed, knowing she'd regret this, but she followed him out anyway. Chapter 14. Lucas pulled up to an upscale restaurant, the kind where reservations were booked months in advance. This better not be a date, Ava muttered as he opened her door. Lucas chuckled. Trust me, Sinclair. If it were, you'd know. She rolled her eyes and followed him inside. The hostess led them to a private booth in the back, where someone was already waiting. Rebecca. Ava stiffened. Sit, Rebecca said, barely glancing up from her glass of wine. Ava shot Lucas a look. I swear, if this is an intervention, relax, Lucas said, nudging her toward the booth. She just wants to talk. Ava slid into the seat across from Rebecca, trying to ignore the tension crackling in the air. Rebecca studied her for a moment before speaking. You have no idea what you're getting into, do you? Ava's fingers tightened around her napkin. If this is about Lucas, then no, I don't. But I'd love some clarification. Rebecca glanced at Lucas, then back at Ava. He's not who you think he is. Ava raised an eyebrow. Oh, and who do I think he is? Rebecca smirked. A harmless flirt. A cocky executive. Annoying, but ultimately insignificant. Ava exhaled. So far, this is accurate. Rebecca leaned in. Lucas isn't just some charming businessman, Ava. He's involved in things that are none of her business. Lucas interrupted, his tone firm. Ava turned to him. You dragged me here, Kingston. Clearly, it is my business now. Lucas exhaled, rubbing a hand over his jaw. I just wanted you to hear it from someone else. But trust me, Sinclair, whatever Rebecca is implying, it's not what you think. Ava glanced between them. There was history here, something deep and unspoken. She took a slow sip of water before setting down her glass. Okay. Let's say I believe you. What now? Lucas smirked, but there was something almost relieved in his eyes. Now, He leaned back in his seat. "Now, we eat." Ava sighed. Of course, Chapter 15 dinner with Lucas and Rebecca was tense. Ava barely touched her food, too focused on the cryptic conversation they'd had. Rebecca left early, but not before giving Ava a final warning. "Be careful, and don't trust him completely." Not exactly reassuring now. As Ava sat in Lucas's car on the way back, she turned to him. "Are you going to explain or keep dodging?" Lucas kept his eyes on the road, fingers tightening slightly on the wheel. "I don't owe Rebecca an explanation, and I don't owe you one either." Ava scoffed. "Wow, thanks. That's exactly what I wanted to hear after being dragged into whatever this is." Lucas sighed. "Ava, some things are better left unknown." She narrowed her eyes. "You do realize that's the most suspicious thing you could possibly say right now, right?" A smirk twitched at his lips. "Probably." Ava exhaled. "You're impossible. I've been told." She studied him for a moment. There was a tension in his shoulders, a weight in his expression. This wasn't just some casual office drama. Whatever Lucas was hiding, it was serious. "You know," she said, softer this time, "I do trust you." Lucas's grip on the wheel tightened. For a moment, he didn't speak. Then, without looking at her, he said, "You shouldn't." The car fell into silence. Ava didn't know what scared her more, Lucas's secrets or the feeling that she was already in too deep to turn back. Chapter 16. The next morning, Ava arrived at the office early, still mulling over last night. She barely had time to sit before her phone buzzed. "Lucas, come to my office." Now Ava frowned. No good morning or sarcastic nickname. That was a bad sign. She grabbed her coffee and made her way over. When she stepped inside, Lucas was standing by the window, his expression unreadable. "You okay?" she asked. He turned to her, eyes sharp. "Did anyone approach you after last night?" Ava blinked. No. Why?" Lucas exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "Someone's been watching me. And now they know about you." A chill ran down Ava's spine. "Lucas, what the hell does that mean?" He looked at her, jaw tight. "It means things just got a lot more complicated." Ava swallowed. She had a feeling her life was about to change again, and she wasn't sure she was ready for it. Chapter 17. Ava's heart pounded. "What do you mean, they know about me?" Lucas's expression was grim. "Exactly what it sounds like. You've been seen with me. That makes you a potential target." She let out a humorless laugh. "A target for what, exactly?" "Office gossip." Lucas didn't smile. Ava's stomach twisted. "Lucas, I can't explain everything right now," he said. "But I need you to listen to me. Stay close. If anyone approaches you, even if they seem harmless, tell me." Ava folded her arms. "Do you realize how insane you sound right now?" Lucas stepped closer, his eyes locked onto hers with a rare intensity. "I know how it sounds. But this isn't a joke, Ava." She hesitated. He was serious. "Dead serious." "Fine," she muttered. "But you owe me the whole truth soon." Lucas nodded. "I will. Just trust me a little longer." Ava wasn't sure she had much of a choice. Chapter 18. The office felt different today. Maybe it was paranoia, but Ava couldn't shake the feeling of eyes on her. She caught herself glancing over her shoulder more than once. She told herself she was overreacting. Until lunch, she was walking to grab coffee when she noticed a man sitting near the entrance. He wasn't doing anything suspicious, just reading a newspaper, but something about him set off alarms in her brain. He looked up, and their eyes met. Ava's breath hitched. He gave her a polite nod, but his gaze lingered a second too long. She turned sharply and walked straight back to Lucas's office. She barely knocked before pushing the door open. "There's a guy downstairs," she blurted. "Tall, dark jacket, reading a newspaper. He was watching me." Lucas didn't hesitate. He grabbed his phone, dialing a number. "He's here," he said simply, then hung up. Ava stared. "Who exactly did you just call?" Lucas didn't answer. Instead, he stood, grabbed his coat, and nodded toward the door. "Let's go." "Go where?" Lucas met her gaze. "Somewhere safe." Chapter 19. Lucas drove without speaking, his focus sharp. Ava sat beside him, gripping the seat. After 20 minutes, they pulled into an underground parking garage. Lucas turned off the engine and finally looked at her. Ava, I need you to trust me. Ava clenched her fists. Trust is built on honesty. And you keep dodging my questions. Lucas sighed, running a hand through his hair. Fine. You want the truth? She nodded. He exhaled. I'm not just a CEO. I was involved in something before this job, something dangerous. And now, people from my past think I have something they want. Ava felt a cold chill. And what does that have to do with me? Lucas hesitated. Because you're important to me. And they know it. Silence stretched between them. Ava's mind reeled. She wanted to be angry. She wanted to demand more answers, but all she could focus on was what he'd just admitted. I'm important to him. Even in the middle of whatever chaos this was, her heart betrayed her. She was in deep, and she wasn't sure she wanted a way out. Chapter 20. Ava swallowed hard, her brain struggling to keep up. I don't understand, she said, her voice quieter than she intended. Why would they care about me? I'm just your assistant. Lucas's jaw tightened. That's where you're wrong. Ava's stomach flipped. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. I kept you close because I needed to. But somewhere along the way, I wanted to. Ava's pulse raced. Lucas sighed and raked a hand through his hair. The people after me, they don't care who you are. They just care that I do. Ava felt like she couldn't breathe. Lucas, you were supposed to be safe. His voice was quiet. I never meant to drag you into this. Ava shook her head, forcing herself to focus. Okay. Let's say I believe you. What now? I'm just supposed to hide. Lucas exhaled. Not forever. Just until I handle this. Ava stared at him. And what if you can't? His gaze darkened. That's not an option. Chapter 21. Lucas took Ava to a penthouse in a high-security building. The moment they stepped inside, she felt like she'd been dropped into another world. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A fireplace. A kitchen that looked like it belonged in a Michelin-starred restaurant. I feel like I walked into a movie set, she muttered. Lucas smirked. You'll be safe here. Ava folded her arms. You keep saying that. But who exactly are we hiding from? Lucas hesitated. Ava huffed. Oh, come on. I think I've earned an answer at this point. His lips pressed into a thin line. His name is Victor Laurent. He's an investor, one of the most powerful in the world. He's also a man you don't want to cross. Ava frowned. And you crossed him? Lucas's smirk was humorless. Not intentionally. Ava exhaled slowly. Okay. So what does he want? Lucas's expression darkened. Something I have. Or rather, something he thinks I have. Ava's stomach twisted. And he's willing to go through me to get to you. Lucas nodded. Ava sank onto the couch. This was insane. Completely, utterly insane. Lucas crouched in front of her, his voice softer now. I know this is a lot. But I swear, I won't let anything happen to you. Ava met his gaze for the first time. She saw something beyond confidence. She saw fear, not for himself, for her. Chapter 22. Ava didn't sleep that night. She lay in the unfamiliar bed, staring at the ceiling. Lucas had left her alone, retreating to his own room, but she could still feel his presence. Her thoughts were a tangled mess. She trusted Lucas. That much she knew, but what if trusting him got her killed? The thought sent a shiver down her spine. Just then, a soft knock sounded at her door. Ava sat up. Yeah. Lucas pushed it open slightly. Couldn't sleep. Ava sighed. Shocking, I know. He hesitated, then stepped inside. I have a plan. Ava arched a brow. And you're just now telling me? Lucas smirked. I had to make a few calls first. Ava folded her arms. Okay. I'm listening. Lucas sat on the edge of the bed. Victor wants leverage. So we give him something else to chase. Ava blinked. I don't like where this is going. Lucas's expression turned serious. We fake a relationship. Ava's brain short-circuited. What? Lucas held her gaze. If we're seen together, publicly, visibly, it'll look like you're not just my assistant. It'll look like you're part of my world. Ava's mouth went dry. And that helps how? It makes Victor rethink his strategy. If he believes you're more than just an employee, He won't try to use you as leverage. He'll assume you already are. Ava stared. So let me get this straight. Your grand plan is to pretend to date me? Lucas smirked. That's the idea. Ava groaned and flopped back onto the bed. I hate this. Lucas chuckled. You'll get used to it. Ava threw a pillow at him, and just like that, for the first time in days, she smiled. Chapter 23. Ava stared at herself in the mirror, smoothing down the sleek black dress Lucas had sent for her. This is ridiculous, she muttered from the other room. Lucas called out, Did you say something? She huffed. Yeah. I said this is ridiculous. Lucas appeared in the doorway, adjusting his cufflinks. His sharp navy suit made him look even more infuriatingly handsome than usual. He gave her a slow once-over, then smirked. You don't look ridiculous. You look perfect. Ava swallowed. Nope. Nope. Not letting that get to me, she crossed her arms. So we just waltz into this party and act like a couple? Lucas shrugged. That's the plan. Ava frowned. And what if Victor Laurent shows up? Lucas's jaw tightened. He will. Ava blinked. That's not reassuring. Lucas stepped closer, his voice lowering. The key is to make him believe you're untouchable. If he thinks you're just another assistant, you're a target. If he thinks you're mine, Ava raised a brow. Possessive much? Lucas smirked. You know what I mean. Ava exhaled. Fine. But if you make this weird, I will step on your foot in those expensive shoes. Lucas chuckled. Duly noted. He offered his arm. Ready? Ava looped her arm through his. Not even a little. And with that, they walked out together. Chapter 24. The party was in full swing by the time they arrived. Champagne flowed, the scent of money filled the air, and eyes followed Lucas the moment he stepped inside. Ava wasn't used to this world. She preferred coffee-stained paperwork and office banter, not high society and whispered deals, but tonight, she had a role to play. Lucas leaned in, his breath warm against her ear. Relax. Just smile and pretend you're madly in love with me. Ava rolled her eyes. Easy for you to say. But she smiled anyway. They moved through the room, Lucas's hand resting lightly on the small of her back. To anyone watching, they were just another powerful couple in love, and then, like clockwork, he arrived. Victor Laurent, tall, impeccably dressed. A presence that made the air feel heavier. His sharp eyes landed on Lucas, then slid to Ava. A slow, knowing smile spread across his face. Oh no, Victor approached, holding a glass of wine like it was an extension of himself. Lucas, he greeted smoothly. And who is this? Lucas didn't hesitate. He tightened his grip on Ava's waist and pulled her closer. Ava, he said. My fiancé. Ava's heart nearly stopped. Excuse-me. Chapter 25. Ava barely managed to keep her expression neutral. Fiancé? That was not part of the plan. Victor's sharp eyes flickered with amusement. Fiancé, is it? Lucas nodded. We wanted to keep it quiet, but you know how things are. Victor sipped his wine, his gaze never leaving Ava's face. And how long have you two been engaged? Ava scrambled for an answer, but Lucas beat her to it. 6 months. 6 months. Victor hummed. Funny. I thought she was just your assistant. Lucas's smirk was effortless. She was. And then I realized I couldn't live without her. Ava's brain was melting. Victor chuckled. How romantic. He turned to Ava. Tell me, dear, what's it like being engaged to one of the most powerful men in the country? Ava smiled sweetly. Exhausting. Victor barked out a laugh. I like her. Lucas's grip on her waist tightened slightly. She's mine. Victor's eyes twinkled with something unreadable. Of course. Then, just as smoothly as he arrived, he walked away. The moment he was out of earshot, Ava turned to Lucas, eyes wide. Fiancé, she hissed. Lucas gave her an innocent look. It worked, didn't it? Ava groaned. I hate you. Lucas grinned. No, you don't. And the worst part, he was right. Chapter 26. The moment Victor was out of sight, Ava yanked Lucas toward a quiet corner of the ballroom. Are you out of your mind? She whisper yelled, gripping his lapel. Fiancé. Lucas remained completely unfazed. It was necessary. Ava gaped. Necessary? Necessary for what? Giving me a heart attack. Lucas smirked, tilting his head slightly. It threw him off, didn't it? Ava hated that he had a point. Victor Laurent had backed off, but at what cost? She inhaled sharply. You do realize this means we now have to pretend to be engaged, right? Lucas's smirk widened. You say that like it's a problem. Ava's eye twitched. You. No. Absolutely not. This is ridiculous. What happens when people start asking for a wedding date? Or my ring? Lucas glanced at her hand, then casually reached into his pocket. Ava watched in horror as he pulled out a diamond ring here. He slid it onto her finger before she could protest. Ava stared at the sparkling rock on her hand, her brain short-circuited. Lucas, where did you get this? Lucas raised a brow. I had it made a while ago. Ava's jaw dropped. For who? Lucas gave her an infuriating smile. Wouldn't you like to know? Chapter 27. The engagement news spread faster than wildfire. By the time they left the event, Ava's phone was blowing up. Messages from co-workers, friends, and even her mother. Lucas, however, was as calm as ever. Congratulations, fiancé, he teased as he drove them home. Ava groaned. I swear, if I push you out of this car, I can make it look like an accident. Lucas chuckled. Relax. This won't be so bad. Ava turned to glare at him. Lucas, do you understand what you've done? People actually believe this. You've turned my entire life upside down with one sentence. Lucas's hand tightened slightly on the wheel. Would it be so terrible? Ava froze. There was something in his voice, something she didn't want to analyze too deeply. She looked away, staring out the window. It's not real. Silence filled the car for a beat too long, then Lucas said, sure. Ava didn't know why, but that single word sent a strange, uneasy feeling through her chest. Chapter 28. Ava knew it was only a matter of time before things spiraled. She just didn't expect it to be this fast. The next morning, the office was buzzing. People stared, whispered, and threw her knowing smiles, and then came the biggest disaster. Their company's CEO, aka Lucas's father, summoned them to his office. The moment they walked in, the older man eyed them carefully. So, he said, steepling his fingers. You're engaged. Ava stiffened. Lucas, of course, was cool as ever. Yes. The CEO leaned back, studying them. That's interesting. Ava's stomach twisted. Interesting how? Lucas's father smiled slightly. Because I spoke to your brother last week, Ava. And he seemed completely unaware of this relationship. Ava's heart nearly stopped. Lucas, however, just smirked. That's because we kept it private. The CEO let the silence drag before finally saying, well, I expect an engagement party. Soon. Ava nearly choked. Lucas just smiled. Of course. Ava wanted to scream. Chapter 29. The moment they left the office, Ava spun on Lucas. Are you kidding me? Lucas tucked his hands into his pockets, looking thoroughly amused. What? Ava threw up her hands. A party? Do you have any idea what that means? Lucas smirked. Yes. It means we have to convince everyone that we're madly in love. Ava groaned. I hate you. Lucas leaned down, whispering in her ear. No, you don't. Ava shivered. She hated that he was right. Chapter 30. Ava stormed into Lucas's office, slammed the door shut, and pointed a threatening finger at him. We need rules, she declared. Lucas, who was casually sipping his coffee, raised a brow. Rules? Yes. Ava crossed her arms. If we're going to pull off this fake engagement, we need boundaries. Lucas leaned back in his chair, looking entirely too entertained. All right, let's hear them. Ava inhaled sharply. Rule 1. No unnecessary touching. Lucas smirked. Define unnecessary. Ava's eye twitched. If you even breathe too close to me, it's unnecessary. Lucas chuckled. Noted. Next. Rule 2, Ava continued, trying to ignore how her heart raced under his gaze. No kissing. No romantic gestures. None of that. Lucas tilted his head. You do realize that engaged couples do those things, right? Ava scowled. We'll Fake it another way. Lucas just hummed in amusement. Rule 3, she rushed on. This ends after the engagement party. That's it. Lucas studied her for a long moment. Then, to her surprise, he nodded. Fine. Ava blinked. Wait, really? Lucas's lips curled into an unreadable smile. Of course. Something about the way he said it made her stomach twist. Why did she have a feeling that nothing was going to go according to plan? Chapter 31. Ava had one simple job, and she'd failed spectacularly because when Lucas's father called to confirm details for the engagement party, she panicked and said the worst possible thing. I can't wait for everyone to see how in love we are. The moment the words left her mouth, she knew she was doomed. Lucas, who had been listening in, arched a brow. Oh. Ava turned slowly. I hate you. Lucas smirked. No. Please, tell me more about how in love we are. Ava groaned, dropping her head into her hands. I am going to die. Lucas chuckled. Don't worry, sweetheart. Ava peeked through her fingers. Don't call me sweetheart. Lucas grinned. You're the one who told my father we're madly in love. Now we have to prove it. Ava wanted to throw herself into the sun. Chapter 32. The engagement party was a disaster waiting to happen. Ava knew it the moment she stepped into the venue. The decorations were elegant, the champagne flowed, and oh, great. Her brother was here. She turned to Lucas, her eyes wide. Why is my brother here? Lucas took a sip of his drink. Your mother invited him. Ava nearly choked. You spoke to my mother? Lucas smirked. We're engaged, Ava. What kind of fiancé would I be if I didn't introduce myself properly? Ava wanted to die before she could respond. Her brother approached, his eyes narrowed. Lucas. Lucas smiled. Good to see you. Ava's brother crossed his arms. You and my sister. Explain. Ava opened her mouth, but Lucas beat her to it. We've been in love for a long time, he said smoothly. We just didn't realize it until recently. Ava clenched her jaw. Her brother did not look convinced. This is so fake, he muttered. Lucas just grinned. Oh, then you won't mind if I kiss her, right? Ava's stomach dropped. Her brother raised a brow. Go ahead. Ava spun on Lucas. Don't you dare. Lucas cupped her face. Ava's brain short-circuited, and then, before she could stop it, Lucas kissed her, and everything changed. Chapter 33. Ava expected the kiss to be quick. A simple peck. Something that would convince her brother but mean absolutely nothing. She was so wrong, because the second Lucas's lips touched hers, the world tilted. It wasn't just a kiss. It was a claim. It was slow and deliberate, his hands framing her face like she was something fragile, something important. Ava should have pulled away. She wanted to, but her fingers curled into his suit, her breath catching as warmth spread through her like wildfire. When Lucas finally pulled back, his lips barely parted from hers, his eyes held something unreadable. Her brother scoffed. All right, fine. Maybe it's not that fake. Ava barely heard him over the sound of her own thundering heartbeat. Lucas smirked. Told you. Then he leaned in and whispered in her ear. Careful, sweetheart. You might start falling for me. Ava shoved him. Don't call me sweetheart. Lucas just grinned, completely unaffected. Ava, on the other hand, was in serious trouble. Because for the first time, she wasn't so sure she hated this fake relationship anymore. Chapter 34. The moment the party was over, Ava escaped. She locked herself in her hotel room, stared at her reflection in the mirror, and whispered, What have I done? She kissed Lucas. No, scratch that. Lucas kissed her, and worse, her traitorous body had liked it. Ava groaned, flopping onto the bed. This wasn't part of the plan. This wasn't supposed to happen. Her phone buzzed. Lucas, are you hiding? Ava clenched her jaw. Me. No, Lucas. Liar. Ava huffed. Me. Go away, Lucas. Can't. Fiancé duties. Ava glared at the screen. Me. We are not real fiancés, Lucas. Sure. That's why you kissed me back. Ava threw her phone. This was a disaster. Chapter 35. The next morning, Ava tried to act normal. She walked into the office with her head high, determined to pretend none of last night ever happened. Then Lucas strolled in, looking obnoxiously smug. Morning, sweetheart, he greeted. Ava ignored him. Lucas leaned on her desk. Ignoring me won't change the fact that your brother believes we're madly in love. Ava gritted her teeth. We are not in love. Lucas hummed. You sure? Because you look like you enjoyed that kiss. Ava's face burned. I did not. Really? He smirked. So if I kissed you right now, you'd feel nothing? Ava opened her mouth, but before she could respond, the office door swung open, and her brother walked in. Ava froze. Lucas? He didn't even flinch. Instead, he grinned. Morning. What brings you by? Her brother crossed his arms. Just checking in on my sister and her fiancé. Ava wanted to die. Lucas turned to her, eyes twinkling with mischief. Sweetheart, why don't you tell him how happy we are? Ava smiled through gritted teeth. Oh. Ecstatic. Chapter 36. Ava thought she had everything under control. She was wrong because Lucas? He was enjoying this way too much, and the worst part? Her brother believed every second of it, so, her brother said, glancing between them. When's the wedding? Ava choked on her coffee. Lucas didn't even blink. Soon, he said smoothly. We're still picking a date. Ava kicked him under the table. Lucas grinned. Her brother nodded, satisfied. Good. I was worried about my little sister, but it seems like Lucas is treating her right. Ava fought the urge to scream. Her brother turned to Lucas. Just don't mess up, alright? She deserves the best. Lucas's expression changed. It was subtle, but for a split second, Ava saw something serious in his eyes. I know, he said quietly. And I won't. Ava's heart stumbled. What was that supposed to mean? Then Lucas smirked again, ruining the moment, and just like that, Ava snapped back to reality. This was fake. And if Lucas wanted to play games, then so could she. That night, she called her coworker Ryan. You busy? She asked. Ryan hesitated. No. Ava smiled. Great. Want to get dinner? Maybe, just maybe, if she made Lucas jealous, he'd stop messing with her. Chapter 37. Ava didn't expect Lucas to actually care that she was out with Ryan. But the second she walked into the office the next morning, she knew she'd messed up. Lucas was already there, waiting for her. He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Morning, he said casually. Ava frowned. Morning. Lucas tilted his head. Have fun last night? Her stomach dropped. So he knew. Ava forced herself to shrug. Yeah. Ryan and I had a great time. Lucas's jaw ticked. Interesting. He stood up, closing the distance between them. You think this is a game? He murmured, voice low. Ava's breath hitched. Lucas's eyes darkened, like he was about to do something reckless. Then, he leaned in. Ava's heart stopped, but instead of kissing her, he smirked. Good. He whispered. Because I love games. Ava was so screwed. Chapter 38. Ava tried to ignore him. She tried to pretend that nothing had changed, but Lucas? He wasn't letting her. He was everywhere, stealing her coffee. Sitting too close. Looking at her like he knew things she didn't. It was infuriating, and then, it got worse because Lucas had plans of his own. That Friday, Ava walked into a company event only to find Lucas talking to a gorgeous woman, and he was smirking like he knew she was watching. Ava clenched her fists. Fine. Two could play this game. She turned to Ryan. Want to dance? Ryan blinked. Sure. They barely made it 2 steps before a firm hand grabbed Ava's wrist, and suddenly, she was spinning right into Lucas's arms. Oops, he murmured. Did I cut in? Ava glared. What are you doing? Lucas smiled. Winning. Then he dipped her right there, in front of everyone, and whispered, You really think anyone else is allowed to have you? Ava's heart shattered into a million pieces, because for the first time, she realized this wasn't fake anymore. Chapter 39. Ava barely had time to react before Lucas pulled her back up, holding her just a little too close. Her pulse roared in her ears. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't real. And yet, Lucas wasn't letting go. The music around them faded, the sound of chatter disappearing as she locked eyes with him. You're messing with me, she whispered. Lucas exhaled, a small, humorless laugh. Escaping him, yeah, he admitted. But only because you won't take me seriously. Ava's stomach dropped. She forced herself to scoff. Oh, please. You're just competitive. Lucas's jaw ticked. Competitive, he repeated, voice dangerously soft. Then, before she could react, he leaned in, lips brushing the shell of her ear. I don't compete, he murmured. I win. A shiver ran down her spine, because suddenly, it wasn't fake anymore, not for him, not for her. And she had no idea what to do. Chapter 40. Ava did what any sane person would do. She ran. Well, not literally, she wasn't that dramatic. But she escaped the moment Lucas turned his attention to someone else. She needed air. Space. A moment to think, but the second she reached the balcony, she heard a voice behind her. "You always run when things get real?" Ava groaned, turning to find Lucas right there. Of course, she crossed her arms. "I don't know what you're talking about." Lucas just smirked. "Really?" He stepped closer. "Because I think you're scared." Ava scoffed. "Of what?" Lucas didn't blink. "Me." Her breath hitched, his eyes locked onto hers, intense and unwavering. "I think," he said slowly, "you've been pushing me away because you're afraid of what happens when you stop." Ava hated that he was right, but she wasn't ready to admit it. Not yet, so she did the only thing she could. She shoved him right into a plant. Lucas stumbled, blinking at her in surprise. Ava turned on her heel. "Good night, Lucas," she muttered. She walked away, ignoring the way her heart pounded in her chest, ignoring the way his laughter followed her into the night. Chapter 41. Ava thought maybe, just maybe, she could avoid Lucas at work. She was wrong, because the second she stepped into the office the next morning, there was a note on her desk. "Check your email." Ava hesitated, then clicked open her inbox, and there, in bold letters, was a single subject line. "Running away doesn't count as winning." Ava, her face burned. She snapped her head up only to find Lucas watching her from his office and smirking. Ava groaned. This man was going to be the death of her. Chapter 42. Ava spent the entire morning pretending she wasn't affected, that Lucas's smirking wasn't annoying, that his stupid email wasn't replaying in her mind every 5 minutes. It was a lie, but she was committed to it. Or at least, she was, until she got called into a meeting with Lucas, alone. The moment she walked into the conference room, he was already waiting, leaning back in his chair like he had all the time in the world. "Close the door," he said. Ava hesitated, because no, that sounded like a trap. Lucas raised an eyebrow. "Scared?" Ava clenched her jaw. She stepped in, shutting the door a little too hard. Lucas just smirked. "I need you to focus," he said. "Because we have a problem." Ava crossed her arms. "You mean you have a problem?" Lucas nodded. "Yep. And you're it." Ava gawked. "Excuse me?" Lucas leaned forward, resting his arms on the table. "You're distracting," he said. "I can't get anything done when you're too busy pretending you don't care." Ava's pulse roared as she swallowed. "That's ridiculous." Lucas tilted his head. "Is it?" The room felt too small, the air too thick. Ava needed to leave now, but before she could, Lucas stood up. He walked around the table, slow, deliberate, until he was right in front of her. Ava didn't move. Lucas smiled. "Tell me to stop," he murmured. Ava opened her mouth, and then, she didn't say a word because she didn't want him to stop. And from the way Lucas's eyes darkened, he knew it. Chapter 43. Ava couldn't breathe. Lucas was too close, too warm, too solid. Too much, but she still hadn't moved. Neither had he. Seconds stretched between them, tense, charged, dangerous. Then, finally, Lucas smirked. "You hesitated," he murmured. Ava glared at him. "So?" Lucas shrugged. "So it means you don't hate this as much as you pretend to." Ava wanted to argue. She really did, but she couldn't because Lucas wasn't wrong and he knew it. The tension between them crackled. Then, suddenly, Lucas stepped back. Ava nearly swayed forward, almost like "No, absolutely not." She crossed her arms. "Are we done here?" Lucas's smirk deepened. "For now," he said, but the way he looked at her, like he was already planning his next move, Ava knew this wasn't over. Not even close. Chapter 44. Ava avoided Lucas for the rest of the day, or at least, she tried to, but Lucas wasn't having it. Every time she turned a corner, he was there. Every time she checked her email, another smug message. Every time she so much as breathed, Lucas made sure she knew he was winning. By lunchtime, Ava was losing her mind, and then, it got worse, because when she got back to her desk, there was another note. Not an email. Not a text. A handwritten note. Ava frowned. She opened it, and "Dinner tonight." No more running. Her heart stopped. She looked up. Lucas was standing by his office and watching her. Then, he winked. Ava panicked, because this wasn't a game anymore, and she had no idea what to do. Chapter 45. Ava didn't go to dinner because obviously, she wasn't going to let Lucas win. Instead, She went home, changed into her most comfortable pajamas, and ordered an embarrassing amount of takeout. She was not thinking about Lucas at all, except her phone buzzed. Lucas, you're late. Ava glared at the screen. Then another message. Lucas, you can run, Ava. But we both know you won't hide for long. Ava groaned and tossed her phone across the couch. Unfortunately, it didn't erase the problem. It didn't erase the fact that, for the first time in their entire fake relationship, she had no idea what Lucas actually wanted. And that was dangerous. Chapter 46. By the time Ava got to work the next morning, she was armed. Not literally, although she considered it. She had coffee. The strongest coffee money could buy, because if she was going to survive whatever new scheme Lucas had planned, she needed caffeine. A lot of it. Unfortunately, she barely made it 2 steps inside before she saw him. Lucas standing by her desk, holding a cup of coffee. Ava froze. Lucas grinned. Good morning. She eyed him suspiciously. What are you doing? He lifted the cup. Bribing you. Ava raised an eyebrow. Lucas sighed dramatically. Fine. Peace offering. Ava folded her arms. For what? Lucas smirked. For ruining your night. Ava scoffed. You didn't ruin anything. Lucas tilted his head. Then why didn't you show up? Ava clenched her jaw. Because nope. She was not having this conversation in the middle of the office. So she did the only logical thing. She grabbed the coffee from his hand, took a long sip, and walked away. Lucas laughed. And damn it, Ava's heart definitely did not skip a beat. Chapter 47. Lucas didn't push, which was suspicious. For the next 2 days, he let Ava work in peace. No smug comments. No teasing emails. No traps. It was almost too quiet, which was why, on Friday afternoon, when Lucas showed up at her desk and said, let's get out of here, Ava panicked. Excuse me, she said. Lucas shrugged. We're leaving early. Ava blinked. Why? Lucas smirked. Because I have a plan. Ava groaned. That's exactly why I don't want to go. Lucas leaned down. Come on, Ava. Be honest. Ava swallowed. Lucas's voice was too low. His gaze was too intense. You want to go, he murmured. Don't you? Ava hated that her pulse betrayed her, because she did want to go more than she wanted to admit. Lucas saw it, and from the victorious look in his eyes, he was going to use it against her. Chapter 48. Ava didn't know how she ended up in Lucas's car. Or how she let him drive her to a rooftop restaurant with candles, but here she was sitting across from him, trying very hard not to make this a thing. Lucas was enjoying himself. Too much, so, he said, sipping his wine. Are you still going to pretend you don't like me? Ava choked on air. Excuse me? Lucas grinned. You heard me. Ava clenched her jaw. Lucas leaned forward. Don't lie, Ava. Ava's brain short-circuited because damn it, Lucas looked dangerous. Like he already knew the answer. Ava swallowed, and then, for the first time since this entire fake relationship disaster started, she told the truth. Maybe, she muttered. Lucas's smirk slowly faded, and then, in the softest, most serious voice, he said, good. Because I like you too. Ava stopped breathing, because this wasn't a game anymore, and she was in trouble. Chapter 49. Ava wished she could rewind time, because what the hell just happened? 1 second, Lucas was his usual smug, infuriating self, pushing her buttons, teasing her, making her question her sanity, and the next, he was looking at her like she was the only person in the world, like this mattered, like she mattered, which was dangerous, because this was fake. It was supposed to be fake. Ava cleared her throat. Lucas, this isn't a joke, he interrupted. Ava hesitated because, no.it didn't feel like a joke anymore. Lucas exhaled, his usual cocky smirk replaced by something softer. Ava. Her stomach flipped. I don't do things halfway, he continued. And I don't say things I don't mean. Ava blinked. Lucas liked her. Not just in a ha-ha, this is fun way, but in a serious, heart-stopping, ICU way, and Ava, she was not ready for this. Chapter 50. Ava needed space. Ava needed air. Ava needed to get out of here, so she did what any rational person would do when their fake boyfriend turned real feelings ambushed them with a confession. She ran. Sort of. I just remembered I have a thing. Ava blurted, shoving back her chair. A very important thing. Urgent, actually. Super urgent. You wouldn't understand. Lucas raised an eyebrow. Ava grabbed her purse. So, I'll see you Monday. Maybe. Or never. She turned, made it 3 steps, then, sit down, Ava. His voice was low. Firm. She froze. Lucas leaned back in his chair, watching her with amusement. Are you really running away? Ava clenched her jaw. Yes. Maybe. Lucas sighed. Fine. If you want to leave, go. Ava narrowed her eyes. That was too easy. Lucas tilted his head. But just so we're clear, running won't change anything. Ava swallowed, because she knew that. She knew the second she walked out that door, she'd still be thinking about him, damn it. Chapter 51. Ava made it exactly 14 hours before she broke. Because despite her foolproof plan to avoid Lucas, her brain had other ideas. So when she found herself at his door the next evening, she blamed the universe. Lucas answered in sweatpants, which was rude because how dare he look good even when he wasn't trying. He blinked. Ava. Ava shoved her hands in her pockets. I was in the neighborhood. Lucas smirked. You don't live anywhere near here. Ava scowled. Fine. She hesitated, then, before she could second-guess herself, she grabbed his hoodie and yanked him down into a kiss. Lucas froze. For one terrifying second, Ava thought she'd made a mistake, then Lucas groaned and kissed her back. And oh, this wasn't fake, this wasn't safe. This was fireworks and gravity, and what the hell took us so long? Lucas backed her into the wall, his hand sliding into her hair. Finally, he muttered against her lips. Ava wanted to say something snarky, something witty, but she was too busy kissing him back, and for the first time in weeks, nothing else mattered. Chapter 52. Ava had a serious problem, because waking up in Lucas's bed, tangled in him, felt dangerously right, which was unacceptable, because last night was supposed to be a one-time lapse in judgment. Except Lucas was smiling at her. Not his usual smirk. Not his I am gonna drive you crazy grin, but a soft, lazy smile that made Ava's stomach flip. Morning, trouble, he murmured, voice still raspy from sleep. Ava groaned, burying her face in the pillow. No morning. Lucas laughed, the deep, happy kind of laugh that did stupid things to her heart. Ava hated it because this was dangerous, because she could see it, a version of her life where mornings like this were normal. Where Lucas wasn't her fake boyfriend, where she stayed, and that was not part of the plan. Ava sat up abruptly. I should go. Lucas blinked. Why? Ava panicked. Because, I have a thing. A very important thing. Lucas smirked. Is this the same super urgent excuse you used last time? Ava glared. No, it totally was. Lucas just hummed. Well, if you insist. Ava scrambled out of bed, ignoring the way her body protested leaving his warmth. Lucas leaned back against the pillows, watching her with an expression that was way too fond. See you at work, girlfriend, he teased. Ava flipped him off and practically sprinted out the door, because damn it. She was in so much trouble. Chapter 53. Ava had one goal today: avoid Lucas, which was impossible because they worked together. And because he was Lucas. But she tried. She even barricaded herself in her office with an entirely unnecessary amount of work, which was going great, until Lucas showed up, leaning casually in her doorway, looking obnoxiously attractive. Hey, trouble. Ava clenched her jaw. I'm busy. Lucas strolled in anyway. Oh, totally. So busy. That's why you've been aggressively typing the same sentence for 5 minutes. Ava scowled. What do you want? Lucas grinned. To take you to lunch. Ava blinked. What? Lucas shrugged. Lunch. Eating food. With me. You know, a totally normal activity for people who are dating. Ava narrowed her eyes. Are you messing with me? Lucas's smile softened. No, Ava. Ava swallowed because she believed him, and that was terrifying. Chapter 54. Ava had expected lunch to be weird. What she hadn't expected, for Lucas to be soft, for him to watch her like she was important, for him to listen when she rambled about work, for him to remember how she liked her coffee. And worst of all, for her heart to like it. By the time they left the cafe, Ava's carefully constructed walls were cracking. Lucas bumped his shoulder against hers. So, does this mean we're real now? Ava froze. Lucas smirked. I mean, you did kiss me first. Ava panicked, and instead of answering, she turned on her heel and ran, again, because damn it, she wasn't supposed to fall for him. Too bad it was already too late. Chapter 55. Ava didn't want to be here, standing in front of Lucas's apartment door, heart pounding, knowing she was about to do something reckless, but she also couldn't not be here, because running away from Lucas wasn't working, because no matter how much she tried to fight it, she wanted him to, so she knocked. Lucas answered almost instantly, like he'd been waiting. He took one look at her, eyes unreadable. Ava. Ava took a deep breath. Lucas just waited, because that was the thing about him, he never pushed, even when he should. Ava swallowed hard. I like you. Lucas arched a brow. That's it. After all this time, that's what I get. Ava groaned. Lucas, but he was already grinning. Say it again. Ava glared. I like you. Lucas smirked. Louder. Ava rolled her eyes, but her lips twitched. Don't push your luck. Lucas took a step closer. Too late. And then he kissed her. And this time, she didn't run. Epilogue. The happily ever after, that Ava never saw coming. Ava still wasn't sure how it happened. How she went from fake dating Lucas to actually dating him. How her life, which had been so carefully planned, now included spontaneous weekend road trips, morning coffee made by someone else, and a boyfriend who was both the most annoying and most perfect person in existence. But she wasn't complaining. Especially not when Lucas wrapped his arms around her from behind, pressing a lazy kiss to her shoulder. Hey, trouble, he murmured. Ava sighed dramatically. You have to stop calling me that. Lucas just grinned. Nah. Ava rolled her eyes, but secretly, she didn't mind at all, because for the first time in forever, she wasn't running, she was home with him, and that was terrifyingly perfect.
Lucas's POV. The moment he knew Lucas always knew Ava was a runner, the kind of person who loved with everything but didn't believe love could last. The kind who cared too much but pretended she didn't care at all. So when she finally stopped running, when she looked at him, walked into his arms, and let herself stay, that's when he knew she was it for him. Maybe she'd always been. Now, lying in bed with her tangled in his arms, Lucas smirked. You're staring again, Ava murmured, eyes still closed. Lucas chuckled, tightening his grip on her. You love when I stare. Ava made a sleepy, indignant noise. I do not. Lucas just laughed, pressing a kiss to her forehead, because she did. She just wasn't ready to admit it yet, and that was fine, because Lucas had forever to wait, and for once, so did she.